Hi, welcome to our channel. We're Jen and Aaron, we're coworkers, and we're friends, and we're here to explore life beyond the scale. Today we're going to dive right into the topic of embracing fear and how overcoming it can fuel your growth. But first, let me introduce ourselves. I'll start. I'm Jen, I'm 52, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. I have 6 children whose ages range from middle school all the way to adulthood. And I'm even a recent grandmother. Oh, that sounds old. I'm a Gigi. After 20 years with an international weight loss company, I chose to return to school to become certified as a life, health, and wellness coach. All right, most women feel like after 40, life is supposed to slow down. We believe it's a new chapter filled with strength, style, and self discovery. Facing fear is going to be part of that journey, and we weren't ready to take on the challenge of starting a podcast, but we did it anyway. And that fear, it became our fuel to drive us forward into new achievements. Together, we're going to share how we turn fear into an ally rather than an obstacle. So stick around the next 20 minutes or so as we dig deeper into the topic of fear together.
Hi, I'm Erin, and I'm 57. I check many boxes, so I begin with wife and mother. I am an empty nester because my daughter's out on her own. But in addition, I'm also a member of the sandwich generation, in which I just recently was caring for my mother until she passed from dementia and heart failure. My husband's going to be retiring soon this year, so that's a whole new chapter I'm about to embark on. I too have been in the health and wellness industry for the last 15 years, and I'm trying to figure out what's next. What's the next move for me when we move on to the retirement phase?
New
Yeah.
season, new chapter.
Yes, that's right. Looking forward to the new thing. We talked about the boxes that we check to give you
Yes.
a little bit of information about us. But today, what we're talking about is fear. And how this topic came about was that I was driving home from work and was listening to the Mel Robbins podcast where she was talking about the 6 mindset shifts that deal with fear. And so she was bringing up the fact that she was fearful when she was doing the Let Them tour, which to me, I thought, wait, Mel Robbins is a public speaker. Why would she be afraid of doing a tour? But what she went into with the details was the fact that she took on things that were beyond her usual scope. And so I thought this was very timely for what we're going through right now of, a year ago I said, "Hey Jen, we should start a podcast." And you said, "Yeah, we totally should." And then it just kind of floated away. And then this year we decided, why not? Let's go for it. Let me ask you, Jen, what was your fear about starting this podcast?
Um, so many things, so many things. One, technology, like the how behind it.
Yes.
Huge fear in the why would anyone want to listen to us? Am I not
Yeah.
smart enough? Do I not know enough? I also hate being wrong. And so that was a big fear
You?
that kind of helped me feel stuck in the let's not get started stage because I have to do too much education. I need to learn too much. But also, what if we shouldn't be doing a podcast? What if we can't do a podcast? Fear of failure. That was a tough one. What about you?
Yes. Fear of failure. Also fear of what other people were going to think. Like, who
Mhm.
does she think she is? Who does she think she is going to do a podcast? Doesn't she know that market is saturated? Yes, I do, because I am a podcast junkie. But you know what? I believe that between the two of us, our years of experience with our work, with our life, this chapter of life, we've seen and experienced so many things well worth sharing. And I know that from what we do, we know the value of a community. We know the value of being able to share experiences, to be vulnerable, to share the ups and the downs. And sometimes the downs are often more interesting than the ups.
Right.
When because let's face it, what most of us face the downs more than the ups. So how we manage to rise above it when things aren't going our way.
Yeah, they don't I don't know if interesting is the word I would use in the midst of the fear, but
Yeah.
looking back, yeah, that's where the story gets good, right? When
Yeah.
there's discomfort, but
Yeah.
also rising above.
This has not been the easiest thing. We've been at this for 2 months. And so we've been experimenting and finding a way to work through it and not let it sideline you, because so many times, like, when it didn't go my way, that I just threw my hands up and said, well, I guess it's not meant to be,
Yeah.
because I hit a roadblock. And it's like, that's not actually true, that when
Right.
you hit a roadblock, that's intuition telling you, oh, you shouldn't do it. If I'm tough with myself, I can say, yeah, that was me saying, oh, good, I've got an excuse, I don't have to do this anymore. For this, one of the things that Mel Robbins and her daughter brought up, that feeling of being tenacious and saying, okay, challenge accepted. I'm going to figure this out. Technology is not my strong suit. I mean, I'm pretty basic. I'm proud of how far I've come and that I haven't let the missteps not to stop me.
Yeah, I agree. You've done fantastic with that. You've persevered. You have continued to learn and to be willing to grow and willing to fail. Failing forward, isn't that the saying? Block, it
100%.
was a speed bump along the journey.
100. Figuring things out has been challenging, but it has also been rewarding. And so that has been the signal to my brain to be like,
Mhm.
yeah, but look at how far you've come. And then I go, oh, yeah, yeah, but look how much money you spent on those lights. You really should use those. You know? You've dipped your toe in, keep going. The water's getting a little warmer, it's getting a little more comfortable. Everybody who out there who's watching us right now, this is our first time, and I have an expectation of like what I see out there, but I also realize it's going to take a while to get to the level that I want to be at. I know that you want to be at, but we'll get there. It's just a matter of trial and error as we figure all of this out. And we're super excited to be here and share ideas with you guys, and we hope that, you'll be able to put some ideas in the comments for us to let us know, hey, what do you guys think? What do you struggle with when it comes to fear?
That's awesome. Yeah, and so here we are, 2 months later, doing our first podcast. In the past, I guess, how do you typically deal with fear? Have you found ways to push through it? Or what did you used to do?
Procrastination has been something that has been something like, oh, I'll get to that later. I don't know where to start. Where do I find out that information? Where do I go? Excuses. Yeah, giving
Mm,
myself excuses to be like, yeah, I'll do that later. For me, with my mom's passing,
mhm,
I now have a lot more time than I did before. In the last 5 years, I didn't have a lot of time. Now I have time for me. And
mm.
actually, that's pretty exciting because it's something I haven't experienced for quite a few years.
Well, and that's a huge accomplishment in itself, right? Like looking and shifting the perspective into the what could be versus, hey, you could still be being stuck in the fear of this new unknown schedule,
Yeah.
right? Like besides the grief, right? And
Yeah.
along with that grief, to then just stay stuck in the, well, now what do I do with myself? Or what should I be doing? Well, I'm not ready to do anything, and staying in that stuck pattern. And instead, you've shifted your mindset a little bit to be like, well, what's next? Right. And so I think that that's a huge mindset shift that really is a win.
I agree. I also feel like in the past, I probably wouldn't have done some things because I would be afraid that I would fail. And with
Mhm.
this one, I feel like if I fail, so what? I mean, so what? I really kind of feel like that is one of the gifts with aging, is that you realize that when things don't go your way and when things go wrong, it's not the end of the world. Thinking about it, how many times have we fallen into the pit
Mhm.
of focusing on the negative, the things that we can't control, the things that are hard. They're just hard, and and they make us fearful and frustrated.
I like that saying, planted, not buried. I'm not sure if you've ever heard
Ooh,
that.
I
Yeah,
haven't
but
heard that one.
yeah, and so the idea behind it is, in my fear in the past, I would be buried. I'd be feeling the weight, the heaviness of the fear of trepidation of the what ifs, the unknowns, the possibilities, all negative, of course, right? Like my
Of
brain
course.
never wants to look at the positive possibilities. And so
Yeah.
then I would feel like there was no way out. And so I would
Mhm.
become comfortable in that stuck, buried pit, and instead of trying to avoid it, I would shove down that feeling, right? And if that feeling started to come up, I would, nope, I'm going to shove it back down with food. I'm going to crawl into bed and hide under the covers. I'll watch mindless TV, or worse yet, I Google what could possibly happen in this terrible situation. And that fear
Worst
would,
case scenario.
oh,
Yeah.
that's my biggest downfall. And then that fear would grow like a virus and start spreading into other parts of my life. And so that buried feeling would bury me under bills, burying me under laundry, not cleaning the house, the dirty dishes, and everything would just kind of spread and keep me in that pit and keep me stuck. And I would hate that pit and I would not enjoy that, but trying to push out into the light seemed way too hard and scary, or just as scary maybe. And so I would become comfortable in that buriedness. Now I'm
How did
trying to think of
how
it
did you
as a,
bust out? How
yeah,
did you
so
bust
one,
out?
sure, well, a couple different things, but one thing is that hearing that quote, that I'm buried, or planted, not buried, that I'm not buried under it. What if, like a flower, I'm planted here for a purpose or just for a season of life? And that
Yes.
once I pop through, like, wow, watch me bloom, like see the possibilities of what could happen, and that, but what if I do succeed? But what if in a positive way? What if we do get healthy? What if I do learn to run? What if I can graduate, on and on, whatever that next step is. So, two things that I use if things are going well in my life and I'm in control of my fear and I don't let my mind start wandering into those old habits. I'm a believer, so I do pray. And that would be like the first thing that I've done is, leaning into that spiritual part of myself and looking for peace and comfort and allowing to like unburden that burden, or like share the load, right? The other thing that I do is I have to talk it out loud. I have to get it out of my head. In my head is that pit and that dark and that dangerous place. So by speaking it out loud, I've learned that I can make it logical. I can break it down into manageable steps, and that might be talking to my family and getting advice. It could be speaking to a friend who's had a similar situation like you. I look at it from what is in my control, what's out of my control, almost normalizing it. Like, what are those small, doable baby steps that I can do? Oh, do I need to educate myself? Do I need to make a phone call? Do I have to go to the library? Right? Like, how can I learn from this and break it into these small, manageable things that start to take away the fear of this pit and this situation, and slowly but surely that sunshine comes in and I can start growing through it. Now, it's not
Oh,
always sunshine and daisies at the top, right? Like sometimes I think we do go through things and we are afraid for a reason, but let's use that fear as fuel and motivation to push through and not allow it to not only have us be scared, but to keep us stuck in that situation. I think I'm too stubborn to be like, oh, you can't win this, right? But left alone to
mm,
my thoughts, I am buried in worst case scenarios.
yeah.
What about you?
You were saying that for you, it's more of a verbal thing. For you, it is about talking it out.
Yeah.
And I think I shared with you before, for me, it's writing it out. And when I say journaling, I don't mean like a pretty book or anything like that. And it isn't, it's a cheap spiral notebook from Walmart that is usually so scribbled because I'm writing so passionately about whatever it is that I'm thinking or feeling. And typically, it is not the happy thoughts, it's the negative thoughts. What I found is that I also, when I'm done writing, I rip it up or I shred it. And that extra physical experience of like, it's just like a way of letting it go. It worked wonders for me when my mom passed away and I felt so filled with grief and guilt.
Mm,
When you're dealing with taking care of somebody with dementia, you never know what your day is going to bring,
mm,
and it's the slow goodbye And it was
Mhm.
very, very mentally taxing to live with. And so when she did pass, I did feel a sense of relief, and then I felt the sense of guilt. And so I
Mhm.
think that that also caused fear in me. Like, what's wrong with you? Why would you feel that way about your mother? And no, actually, I've come to find out that is an absolutely normal reaction in that particular emotional situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love both of us have different ways to do it, but it both allow it to leave our body, right? Like instead of pushing it down with with food, with alcohol, with shopping, right? With
Yeah.
whatever other thing, right, to distract us that we use in life, learning, I guess, to change that mindset shift. Like Mel Robbin said, she gave those 6 different changes of our mindset. We might not be following her script exactly, but we've both found ways, to push forward and to allow that to kind of like leave and let that tension leave and be able to just be able to sit in the feelings without trying to like, push them away or push them down deeper.
What you brought up about that, I was listening to a podcast. I misspoke the podcast info here. It was Johnny Miller on the Feel Better, Live More podcast. Is that emotions only last 10 to 20 seconds. But think about when that emotion comes on, and then we have the reaction period. And then we do those things where perhaps it's online shopping, or it's eating, or it's drinking, or it's drugs, or it's fill in the blank, whatever it is, your choice of what it is that you lean into when you are trying to bury those emotions, bury those feelings down. But if we can sit for 10 to 20 seconds, I mean, that's a very short amount of time. Why we
It
don't
feels
do
so
that?
much bigger. It feels so
I
much
mean,
longer.
if you set your timer on your phone for 20 seconds, how fast does that go? I mean, the only time it doesn't go fast is when you're doing a plank. In my opinion, 20 seconds in a plank is a very long period of time. But we fear that
Yeah,
feeling. We
right.
fear that feeling of like, I feel out of control. I feel sad. I feel
Mhm.
upset. I feel angry. I feel all these feelings. And that in this world that we live in that is so divisive right now, there's so
Mhm.
many emotions. We have so many emotions on the inside that it's just like, oh, I don't want to feel any more on top of what I'm already feeling. That can be really hard. But one of the things, Mel had a list of 6 things. And her first thing was choose bigger, even if you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Don't go small. Don't be small,
Mhm.
go big. That's a pretty big ask for most people. Many times for us is that we look at people and they make things look so easy. We look at athletes and celebrities and coworkers and siblings, and they make if they're good at something, they make it look easy.
Make it
So, I
look
mean, even
easy.
for me, I've been watching YouTube for years. My husband has been saying to me for years, "You should do that. You should do that. You'd be
Mhm.
so good at that." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," knowing that it
Yeah.
wasn't going to be easy, that I was going to have to figure a lot of things out. And watching people make it look easy, and it's like, guess what? Anything that's worth doing ain't so easy. The second thing she brought up is, how can we make this fun? How can we
Mm.
make this fun for you and I? But how can we make this fun for the people who are going to be listening to us? I mean, maybe the people who are going to be listening to us, they can take us on a walk. Maybe they'll pop us in when they're cooking dinner. Um, you know, how can we make this more interesting and fun for our audience? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I think we are funny. No, I'm just teasing. We like each other, so we're gonna have fun. And then along the
That's
way,
it.
hopefully, right? Hopefully along the way you can feel our excitement. But also we'll throw in some fun tidbits here and there as we, progress, things that we enjoy doing, shopping, wearing, eating, right? All the good things. And
Yes.
maybe
Sure.
those life celebrations as well, for those of us that are learning new things or pushing past fear, losing weight, trying a new job as you head into retirement, all of those things, we'll be able to share those fun activities with our listeners as well.
The other part of it is when we have been practicing with this, getting past the point of the vulnerability of speaking into a camera. I mean, you're in your house, I'm in my house. Practicing to a camera, talking to a camera is not the most natural thing to do. Even though you and I do public speaking, this is a completely different situation.
If I'm looking at you or me right now, oh, we're off camera. So,
Point is that we want to be our most authentic selves so that
yeah,
you can, we can share our stories, and we want to share your stories with us and get ideas. We do get ideas from other people. The other point that Mel made was imagine the end and how it will look and feel. And we talked about that, about, hey, what's the worst case scenario? And what did you say? What was the best case scenario? What did you say for the best case
best case
scenario?
scenario, millions of listeners tune in, right? We have followers all over the world. Maybe we, retire our husbands. But really, like, I know that's true. Like, that would be best case scenario, but really best case scenario, seriously from our heart, is we want these women that are listening to us to feel strong and empowered and safe and seen and not alone. We want us to be like, this is the next step of life, a new season of life. We're not stuck. It's life's not over. We're not in the second half of life and it's all downhill. Like, we want women to feel empowered enough to feel their best self, whatever that version looks like for them. And
Mel Robbins' fourth thing that she mentioned, things will go wrong. Yeah, we've had that.
we've
Long story
experienced
short,
that.
it's been an audio thing, but we're
Someday
figuring
we
it
will
out.
have a
So
blooper reel and you can just watch us mouth words as no sound comes out.
yeah, there's somewhere we have the where we sound like we're the devil. Like all of a sudden
Oh
it's like
no.
wah, wah, wah. Like, oh, this is good. Number five, flip your mindset. Fear means you're doing something that matters. That was what Sawyer Robbins said about working with her mom on the Let Them Theory tour. And that is a huge mindset shift of so thinking about, hey, those of us out there, do we want to change jobs? Do we want to ask for a raise? Asking for help, maybe it's setting boundaries with families or family members or friends, going back to school, you know, try on that dress that you don't think is you, that you think that it would never work for you. Try it on. Maybe you wanted to take an art class. You two people out there in our audience, what is it that you've been fearful about that you haven't tried, that you haven't started? We'd love to hear in the comments. Looking forward to that. Our email is lifebeyondscale@gmail.com. We would love to have any ideas that you'd like to send us. If you'd like to just put it in the comments, please feel free to do that. At this point, if you've been with us this long, thank you for sticking with us. Please like, subscribe. It doesn't cost any money to subscribe to our channel. It just means that will actually come up in your feed. And Coach Jenn here, tell
Yeah.
us about your coaching.
I am here as a, health and wellness coach or a life coach, really to kind of just come alongside you in any diagnosis that maybe you've been given. Maybe you've got a goal for losing weight or sticking with a new structure in life. Maybe what worked for you in your 20s doesn't work for you now in your 40s and beyond, and you'd like some support along the way. I would love to work with you one on one. I can offer a free discovery phone call where we just chat. Do a Zoom 20 minutes. But if you'd like information, I'll put that link below for my coaching services as well.
We'll have all of that information in the show notes. So if you look at the title and you see more, click on more. It will then open it up and it will have the links also for our social media pages, for Jenn's coaching information. And thank you for being here and sticking with us. We're
Yeah.
really looking forward to seeing you. We hope to start doing this weekly, but it might be every other week. We'll see how it goes because, anything can happen.
Yeah. We'd love to hear the suggestions and topics or anything that you're interested in. We're more than a number on a scale, and life is more than that anyway. So let's reach big and dream big and put those work boots on and figure out how to get there.
I love it. Let's do it. All right. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Great.
We'll see you next time.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.